I think we all need to admit this, but the world we grew up in is long gone. Now, when I say this, I don't mean this in like a particular bad way, but like I mean is like we all basically grew up and our world is entirely different than it was 20 years ago. Like I do remember a lot of things from my childhood, but I also now realize is that like the things that happened in the 2000s now was basically around the same time period as the 2000s were from the 80s, which is kind of insane because I do remember from the 2000s that like things were so much far away, but now we live in that reality, and I understand now what my parents were saying when they were getting nostalgic about the 80s a little bit. That we came as far from like floppy drives, CDs, and DVD players to now streaming live services, everything, and relying on technology almost on every little thing is kind of mind boggling because I do remember not that long ago that people predicted that in the 2020s that we would have flying cars and whatnot, but I gotta say is we're not too far off from that considering the rise of AI and the rise of humanoid robots. I gotta say is that yeah, I think we're gonna be seeing some crazy things in the next few years. One thing I did not really expect to see already is that like cash is slowly going away, and I'm actually kind of shocked because like I'm not even 30 years old, and I figured I would have not seen something like this until I was around 50 years old. But the fact that we felt like we lived in three different time periods in the last 6 years does not help as well because 2019 feels like a completely different fever dream now than it does in 2025. Like I gotta say is ever since the pandemic hit in 2020, like things definitely have not been the same, but also feels a lot more like different in some unique ways too. Like I do feel like that despite how terrible everything is with the economy, that there's a lot more opportunities now than there was 20 years ago, and it's kind of cool to see that more people are pursuing entrepreneurship, and not just that, like they're pursuing other things too on the side. They're being more creative. But one thing I've noticed too is that like I'm starting to notice the rehashing of things, and I gotta say, guys, it might be nostalgia talking to us, but it's actually has not been a new thing. Like the best example of this is the Star Wars franchise because when I was growing up, I kind of first saw Star Wars was the prequels, and I was thinking that was the fresh franchise that was brand new. But nah, dude, Star Wars been around for a long time since like the 1970s, right? And it's crazy because all the other horror movies too were also rehashing into the 2000s, like Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like it really wasn't new, but nowadays it's being rehashed and remade a lot more, where there's a lot less originality, and that's one thing I do notice the difference between now and than 20 years ago. One thing that also blows my mind is like how different the wages were 20 years ago too. Like I do remember having a coworker that worked in the 2000s, right? And she showed me her paychecks, right? From a place that I knew that my buddy works at. It's this place called Magna. I'm not sure if you heard of it. It's like some car seating place and that people do for Ford plant cars. And when I saw that paycheck, it was like not even like barely $10 an hour or something like that. And now it's like 17 to $20 an hour. But looking back at that, for that type of work that I know my buddy does, it blows my mind like how little that shit was. I know the value of a dollar was different back then, but god damn, dude, it's still crazy to see. But one thing I've noticed too in modern media is like, is it just me or is like movies starting to look a lot less like movies? Like they still look like films, but I feel like the films are shot a bit differently now. Like it feels like there's not as much like passion behind the cinematography or something, because now when I watch a modern movie, for some odd reason, I notice that you can see almost a little bit of everything too much. Now, I'm not sure if this is the filming's camera style or the cameras got way too clean, but it's like almost a little distracting at times because there's certain parts of cameras that could focus on better parts of the film that I don't need to see everything in 1 second, you know? Like, I don't know, dude. I just feel like there's something different with cinematography nowadays. I just can't really wrap my tongue around it too much. Maybe it's because like cinema is slowly like on the decline right now. I'm not fully sure. Like it does shock me too that movie theaters now in the 2020s have been on the decline as well, except for of course the Minecraft movie. Other than that, I've really haven't seen any other like crazy movie theater experiences like that in a good while. But I do know, I guess the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, a Star Wars movie, was also a big deal too. But besides like the rehashes of older movies that was being brought back for anniversaries, it does seem like a lot of newer movies are not hyped as much. One thing I've definitely noticed pretty quickly, especially when you're always at the grocery store, is that our foods have definitely definitely shrunk quite a bit. Like I do remember getting cat food for my cat, right? And I had like a 20-pound bag for like I think it was $8 or something like that. But now they shrunk that shit to 18.5, the same exact brand and price, and I was a little pissed off because they thought they'd be slick and I thought I wouldn't notice, but nah, dude, when I saw that shit, I was like, what the hell? Nah, dude, I don't want this shit shrinking on me. Can't wait to see what it's like fucking 5 years from now when the same thing's probably fucking 12 pounds. One thing that also kind of blows my mind too is that there are babies nowadays that are born and they're like past 2020 and they missed the whole COVID pandemic, and that shit's gonna be in the history books for them to read. Like, I don't know, dude, that makes me feel old as crap. I'm like, oh no. Couldn't imagine seeing like someone born in 2023 reading about fucking the COVID pandemic in 2034 when they're like 12 to 14 years old. Like, oh shit, dude, like it feels like a whole different generation entirely at that point, definitely. It's also very strange to me that like even though I still feel very young at 27 years old, that most of my friends now either have kids or multiple kids, and some of them already like getting married, which is fine because that's a pretty normal age. But it's crazy to think about because for me, I'm not really married and I don't have kids, and I don't really plan on having kids right now or anytime soon, probably never, to be honest, because I want to focus on other things. But man, like it just seems kind of insane that like it doesn't feel like we were like time would go by this fast at times. But one thing I gotta say that's still keeping my hopes alive with modern like media and everything is that music is still relatively good, and I'm not talking about the mainstream music type shit. Like even though I grew up in the 2000s with a lot of like new metal, heavy metal, metalcore, and all that, especially the 2007 era with As I Lay Dying, Killswitch Engage, etc. That I'm still finding really good music within that metal genre and even country at times and other genres independently of on YouTube. That's still making really good music. Like it may not be good mainstream wise, but trust me, guys, there's still some good stuff out there musically. You just gotta really find it. Same with other contents like YouTube videos too. Like everyone likes to kind of hate on YouTube nowadays, and I get it. YouTube has a lot of fucking corporate media slop and shit, and they also have a lot of bad parts on the internet. But honestly, if you also look hard enough on YouTube, you can find some very useful and knowledgeable content, especially informational, dude. Because I don't know about you guys, but I really like to learn stuff on the internet, especially if it's something very useful and valuable, because I do think it's important as we get older that we keep learning. And YouTube's a great tool for that, and that's another thing that a lot of young adults did not have 20 years ago, unless they were like maybe born into like around the been around since '08 on YouTube. But then again, we didn't have the knowledge or information on YouTube that we do now. Now this is a question for some of the older people, but like seriously, what was life like without Google, dude? Because I do remember people had to go to the library a little bit, but like fuck, dude, I'm so young that I was just as old as Google, and I don't know what it's like to live a life without Google. It's actually crazy, but I will say at least I do know what it's like to live a life without technology evolving as fast as it did. Because I do remember things were more natural. Like things definitely had some toxic problems too with humanity, and people were still fucking bad at times. But we were just young kids. But at the same time, you can like I feel like if things were a little bit more I guess balanced without all this technology at once. Because at least we could also communicate and learn how to fucking balance things at once. And there was always a small like minorities back then that were kind of basement dwellers and hiding on their keyboards and shit. But dude, it's not like it's affecting every single human being. There's also things from the 2000s that are also slowly coming back, like the rise of CRTs are starting to become cool again. Like I gotta admit, like those CRTs may not have high definition, but those colors, dude, look fucking fantastic. And there was some TVs that did have like 1080i on those things. I don't know why. I'm not sure if it's the technology or the nostalgia. Even though those things are heavy, the colors on that thing are still pretty as fuck, and I still got one to this day where I emulate old like PlayStation 2 games on a jailbroken console, which is pretty cool because nowadays you can hardly find PS2 games. One thing I do realize that's slowly being rehashed and slowly brought back is like there's a new trend of DVDs being on the comeback because of the corporate greed of like live streaming services. Like for me, I pirate all my live streaming shit because fuck them goddamn Netflix corporation companies, because I don't know, dude, they're just ridiculous at times with their prices. So fuck it, I'm gonna watch all of it. No, but like it's crazy like to see like people are collecting DVDs and physical media again, and I think that's kind of cool that people are bringing that part of media back, because just because something is brand new and newer does not always mean it's better. I've noticed like DVDs, dude, even though they scratch up and they can fuck up at times, like you still own that media entirely forever until it goes bad. It's kind of insane that like how backwards we've forbidden when it comes to shit like that. Also, the other day I was rewatching a documentary called Super Size Me, right, with McDonald's, like, and I noticed that, like, with that guy that died when he was eating the Big Mac, dude, like, the Big Mac was actually fucking big. And also, it kind of blew my mind with that, with that whole documentary too, is that the Big Mac meal was $3.98 or something like that in the documentary, and I was like, wow, it kind of blew my mind, man. Like, no wonder why y'all got fat, dude. I still think that a lot of people still be eating fast food too much, and that's one thing that did not change at all. People are still getting fat despite no more Super Size Me options on the menu. Also, guys, did you know that McDonald's is getting rid of their fucking playgrounds to put in iPads in them, which is ridiculous because McDonald's is supposed to be this family-friendly place, but it's slowly turning into a fucking corporate office each and day, dude. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it looks so sad now. All the fast food designs and everything and all the graphic design stuff all look kind of bland and sad. It's ridiculous, dude. It's like all the creativity behind that is gone too. It hasn't happened at my place yet, but I don't know, dude. Just give it time. It'll eventually happen, and then a lot of parents are going to be very pissed because they already got iPads and shit at home. They don't need it at a McDonald's too. But at the end of the day, everybody, we all got to move forward in life. It's just part of life, unfortunately. But, you know, I do cherish all the good memories, and I am excited to create new ones in the foreseeable future as an adult, because I do have an unpopular opinion that being an adult really is not as bad as people make it out to be at times, because there's a lot of people who make it a lot harder for themselves. That will definitely be another topic for another day, but I will say, let's all keep moving forward. Anyways, y'all, what's your guys' thoughts about growing up? Are you guys stuck in the past a little bit, or do you kind of embrace the new modern society that we kind of have now? Like, for me, I'm kind of iffy on 50-50, but obviously, this is a safe place to talk about shit like this, so if you guys want to talk about it, feel free in the comments. I also got some more good news. In June, I am actually going out to see my dad because he has cancer, and I kind of want to spend some time with him because he lives pretty far away from me. He lives in Florida still, and I live in Missouri, so I'm going to see him pretty soon in June, and we have a date and everything, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And also, guys, if you guys haven't donated yet, I have a GoFundMe for my dad for his cancer to help him get him some treatment, and he's definitely going to be getting the money soon in a couple months, so probably when I go see him, I'll give him the money for the fundraiser, which is really going to be fun and very amazing thing for him because he deserves it. Anyways, everybody, I'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all stay cool, and look forward for the future.